out there. I think that we are now live, so happy to have you join us here from, well, I'm in Tromsø right now, and we have a little cabin here. So anyway, I hope that you're well, and this is going to be a question and answer session with Balakhilya. So we're going to just cover those questions that we've had from you, and if we have time, we'll have a kirtan session as well with Balakhilya. So warmly welcome, Balakhilya. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Ruben. Always a pleasure. Thank you for inviting. So yes, we're going to do some meditation. We're going to answer your questions and have a good evening. How about that? So before I begin my programs, I always offer my obeisances to my spiritual masters, Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. They are great masters of the science of Bhakti Yoga, and that is the platform which I speak from. That is the platform that I live on. And so we would like to pass on some of this knowledge and some of these opportunities to everyone. So let's begin with a little relaxation meditation. When we do this meditation in the beginning of the programs, it helps us to relax, number one. Number two, it helps us to understand the subject matter a little more easily. And number three, you get to learn the meditation if you don't already know it, and you can apply it to your life. So in Bhakti Yoga, we basically do mantra meditation. This is the main meditation that we do. Mantras are spiritual sounds, transcendental sounds, coming from the spiritual realm, bringing with them great spiritual potency. So when we, by great fortune, come in contact with this transcendental sound, we automatically receive great spiritual benefit. So it's the easiest of all meditations, and at the same time, the most effective. The mantra for our meditation tonight will be the mantra Gauranga, and we will divide Gauranga into 4 syllables: Go, Ra, Ang, Ga. This is a deep breathing technique. First, we inhale through the nose, slowly, gently, but also very deeply. Take the air all the way down to the lower abdomen. And as we inhale silently in the mind, we will chant Go, Ra, Ang, Ga, very softly and gently in the mind. When the body is filled with air, we begin to exhale, and then out loud we chant Go, Ra, Ang, Ga. And then we repeat. Inhale, Gauranga in the mind. Exhale, Gauranga out loud. Before we begin, we want to relax. So to help us relax, we'll take in a big breath and let it back out through the nose. With the outgoing breath, let your anxiety, tension, frustration go away with the breath. While we do the meditation, we want to listen very closely to the sound and also put the mind on the sound. In other words, meditate on the sound. When you've learned the mantra, I suggest you close your eyes, because this helps us to relax more deeply and prevents distraction. Joining the thumb and first finger also triggers a relaxation response in the body and assists in the circulation of energy. When we finish the meditation, sit quietly, eyes remaining closed for a few moments, and feel the effect. Okay, everybody get comfortable. And just follow my guidance. Everybody take a big breath, let it out, and relax. Now very slowly, gently and deeply inhale and chant Gauranga in the mind. Two more times. Haribo. All right, so you can see this is a very easy meditation to do, very relaxing and very spiritually purifying. So add it to your life. If you're already doing it, try to do it regularly, because in yoga, regularity is one of the main points that is stressed. Okay. So, Ruben, you say you have some questions.
Yes, we could start with questions related to mantras, actually.
Okay.
So, the first question we had about that was, do mantras have any meaning?
Have any meaning?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely so. There's nothing in the Bhakti Yoga process that doesn't have a meaning. And certainly the mantras are no exception. These mantras that we teach and that we practice are composed of different names of the Supreme Lord. There's only one Supreme Personality. And he has many, many names because the names describe him. The activities, the pastimes, the paraphernalia, etc. God is unlimited in all these categories, so he has unlimited names. So there's not just one or two or three names, unlimited. So the mantra Gauranga, for instance, that we just chanted, this is one of the names that describes his form. It means he whose body is more beautiful than molten gold. Lord Gauranga's form is a very beautiful golden color, and that's why he is known as Gauranga. And, for instance, the mantra Gopala, Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, another mantra that we use frequently. Gopala and Govinda are very similar in meaning. They mean he who gives pleasure to the Brahmins, the cows, and the senses. It also refers to the Supreme Person in his original form as Gopala, the protector of the cows, the cow herdsman, and so on. So you can see Gopala, Govinda, Rama. Rama means the personality who gives spiritual pleasure. The giver of spiritual pleasure, Rama. And Madana Mohana means he who is so attractive that he attracts even Cupid. In the material world, as we know, Cupid is the attractor. He attracts one person to another person. But the Supreme Person is so attractive that he attracts Cupid. And the name that describes that is Madana Mohana. So yes, all the mantras have meaning. Hari Bol. Hari is one of the Lord's names. And Bol means to say. So Hari Bol means to actually say the names of God or chant the names of God, etc., etc.
Does it help us in our meditation to know this meaning?
Well, eventually you want to know what you're doing, and you want to know why you're doing it. But because this transcendental potency is already present in the name, if you have no idea what it means, what it's for, you don't even know what you're doing. It still has that purifying effect. It's just like the sun automatically has a potency. And so it doesn't matter if I know that or I don't know it. I can go out into the sunshine with any philosophy. The sun will burn me. The sun will not burn me. There's no power in the sun. Whatever I have, it doesn't matter. The effect's the same because the potency is there. I don't make it work. So in the same way, the mantras have their own standalone individual potency. But of course, if I'm further along in my wanting to glorify the Supreme Person, please the Supreme Person, and therefore enhance my relationship with the Supreme Person, then more and more I'm inclined to glorify Him by His name. And various scriptures talk about glorifying the Lord by His name and how the help is in the name of the Lord, or save me, O Lord, by thy name, and many, many references to the names of the Supreme Person. See? And because this potency is present, even if a person in a lower form of life, like a dog body, for instance, that's just a spirit soul, like you and I, in a dog body. We're in human bodies, that's a spirit soul in a dog body. But if a dog goes by and I say, Hari Bol, or Gauranga, to that dog, well, let's say it differently. The person in the dog body will get spiritually benefited. But the dog body, with the consciousness it possesses, doesn't allow the dog to know what's going on. Oh, that was the name of the Supreme Lord. Oh, it's purified. It doesn't know anything. He's just walking along. A sound comes in his ear and purifies the person inside that dog body. So yeah, it works anywhere and everywhere. Any living entity that comes in contact with this transcendental sound, these names, these mantras, gets spiritually purified.
How about thoughts? Is it okay to have some thoughts when you chant these mantras?
Well, good luck on trying not to have thoughts. I mean, we all have thoughts continuously, don't we? I mean, you may, in some meditation techniques that they stress, don't think of anything, and then you're thinking of not thinking. You know, it's ongoing, and maybe you have a brief period where it seems like there's no thought, and then what happens? Gee, I'm not thinking anything. And that's another thought. And you just drive yourself crazy trying not to think. So, because the potency is there, it's still going to work. Now, the more you focus on the mantra, see, that's another asset of mantra meditation. the mantras give us something to focus on. My mind wants somewhere to go. It wants something to do. See? So while I'm chanting Gauranga, if I am focusing my mind on the sound Gauranga, in other words, I'm thinking of Gauranga, I'm hearing Gauranga, then I'm zeroing in, meditating on Gauranga. And that's using the mind. It's using the senses, the ears, and so on. See, but now it's spiritual use, so it's a spiritual activity. But again, if we're, like most of us, we can't always even focus on the mantra. The mind's going to drift away here and there. Don't fight it. Just try to bring it back to the sound. And understand that it's still working. The mantras are still working. So don't be too frustrated about that. And the more we practice this meditation and become more attracted to the mantras, then the more it's going to draw us to the mantra. Our attention will be drawn to the mantra.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. There's a person who was writing us, I guess this is a 3-part divided question. Quote, I would be interested in unblocking chakras, dealing with an autoimmune disease, and dealing with stress.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can imagine. The meditations that we do will actually greatly assist in that exact thing. These mantras can actually work on many, many different levels. The physical level, the mental level, the psychic level, all these subtler levels, as well as the soul level, the spiritual level. See? So if you combine this meditation that we just did, this Gauranga meditation, and, since the chakras are energy centers, if you sit straight and kind of align everything and chant the mantras, that will facilitate in unlocking or unblocking the channels, the chakras, and so on. And also, stress is greatly reduced by chanting the mantra. This is an amazing stress reliever, you see. It's so soothing. Many times when people chant for the first time, Gauranga meditation, for instance, they often yawn, that's doing several things. Number one, it's very relaxing. So you're just relaxed and you kind of have a yawning response. And also it's working on a subtle emotional level. And that can also produce this result. So, yeah, we don't teach these mantras for these purposes, these, heal you purposes. But I'm just telling you, they have so much power on so many levels that, results often take place, automatically so. And a lot of this blockage in the body is because of stress. I mean, we're so stressed out, filled with fears and anxieties. Now with the COVID-19 anxiety, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Is there going to be another lockdown? Am I going to get it? I've got it. Is it going to go, a way that's going to, put me in the hospital or whatever. I mean, there's all kind of stress or the economic, result of this whole thing. And so we need some shelter. We need some place to go, and this material world is a place of stress and anxiety and frustration and uncertainty and fear and so on. We need some shelter from that. That's a storm. And we need a shelter from the storm. So the holy names are that shelter. Whether it's by Gauranga meditation, in the end of the program, we're going to do another meditation with mantras called Sankirtan, where we sing the mantras, We also teach meditation of the mantras on beads. See, another great way to relieve stress in your life, as well as get all this spiritual benefit. And this is real shelter. This is not temporary, imaginary shelter. It's where I, the spirit soul, can rest my heart and actually find some true relief inside. It's not working on the surface level like all these anti-anxiety drugs and different ways that people try to adjust their situation materially and maybe go through some psychic maneuvers to do it. No, this is actually real eternal relief, shelter, protection. And it's beyond the ability of any material situation to penetrate it. If you're in that shelter, you're bulletproof. So, yeah.
Okay. The next question is...
Can I add just one thing to that last answer? Also, if you do your Goranga meditation, try to breathe, properly. Pranayama is a main activity in yoga in general, for physical benefits, for mental, psychic benefits. So when we're doing our Goranga breathing, it's declared that this is the highest level of pranayama. So like I said, you sit straight and breathe like I described. Slowly, gently, deeply, all the way to the floor of the abdomen, and then let your body gradually fill from the bottom up. So, eventually you do fill the chest, but it's complete breathing. It's called a complete breath. And when you exhale, it's the same. First, let the lungs relax, and the breath goes there and then out of the bottom. So again, it's going to help this situation that you say you have an issue with.
Yeah, I can just comment on that we have both in Trondheim and Tromsø upcoming yoga courses. So if you'd like to learn more pranayama and this type of relaxation, then you can always join our sessions if you are in Norway and you live in Trondheim or Tromsø.
Yeah, and the japa meditation also.
Yeah, yes, of course.
I have a very complete video on my YouTube channel, Happy Man, on japa meditation. So it's a very, very effective meditation also.
We can put a link to your Happy Man channel after or as a comment.
Yeah. And by the way, some of those series are filmed in Norway. It's a great time in Norway doing that.
Yes.
With Ruben, by the way. Yeah.
Among others. Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
So next, quote, sometimes life gets too busy. There are too many obligations, too many things needed to be done, too much pressure. It's kind of a vicious hamster wheel.
It's what?
How a vicious hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. Yeah. Uh-huh.
How to keep chanting, keep the determination to chant, and maybe even increase the amount of chanting in such a situation without feeling that you may break down because then some other urgent things are not prioritized.
Okay. All these are good questions, by the way. Because it's real, isn't it? It's reality. I mean, we get so busy, but a lot of the complexity is because we created it. We create such complex lives for ourselves and then struggle with it. And many of these obligations and things that we think, I have to do this and I have to do that. The reality is we don't. You can actually eliminate a lot of things from your life if you focus on that and see how, well, I don't really need to do this, or I don't need to spend so much time on that, or this, you can time management things, that's good, but a lot of things just, we clutter up our life with unnecessary things, so that's one thing we need to do, is some house cleaning. Just throw out a bunch of stuff. Your closet's full. You got no room to put your other. Throw it away. Get rid of it. Yeah. Really, I mean, you can do that. A lot of people can have done it. I've done it. And so that's number one. But let's say even after house cleaning, there's still too much to do. Fair enough. But remember, these mantras are transportable. You don't have to sit in one place at exact time and exact way and do the meditation, because these mantras are with you. You can take them with you wherever you go. They're in your mind. You can chant while you're doing all your other stuff, sometimes out loud, sometimes just in the mind. I will assure you that everybody walks around with some kind of tune in their head. You listen to some new music or old music, your favorite songs, or they just come from somewhere out of the past, and you're singing some song in your head. And maybe it's just, one short little piece of a song, and it's just repeating itself. It's on the loop, so to speak. Well, are you just going to be paralyzed and not do anything because that song's running around your head? Or are you just going to continue on and do what else you're doing? So you can do the same thing with mantras. Let the mantras be that song. Let the mantras be going around in your head. And you're doing all this and that and the other. But behind, no matter how intense it is, behind all of that, there's the mantra. You can be doing some intense sport. Like I do a lot of mountain biking. And, you got to keep your eyes on the road, so to speak. The trail's narrow and filled with obstacles and, unexpected events at every moment. See? So you can't just be, like this. You got to be focused. But behind all of that that's going on, there's the mantra. It's back there behind. It's in the background, and it's always there. You see? So to achieve this, you need to practice the meditations. Practice Guranga. Practice, the kirtan. Practice the japa meditation, on the beads. So it's in there. I mean, it's in there. And it's recorded. We have recorded, mantras, and you can just play it, in your home, in your car, or wherever. And so that just saturates, let's say, your mind, your consciousness, and boom, it just appears on its own. You wake up in the morning, there it is. You go to bed at night, there it is. It's very nice, you see. So don't think you can't chant the mantras because you're too busy, And if you have some time when you got time to sit down, great, sit down. Do just what we did, Guranga meditation, chant on your beads. Early in the morning before you get so busy in the day, get up a little ahead of the rat race and just do your meditation. It's quiet, it's peaceful at that time. The energy is the best. The mind is probably as calm as it's ever going to be during that day. And, just take advantage of all that and chant the mantras. And that sets you up for the day, That gives you a good spiritual platform, to spend the day on. So many, many different ways you can make these mantras a very integral part of your life. Okay.
Yes. Let's see. I have heard from spiritual leaders that almost all of us, spirit souls in this material world, have a filter through which we can see the world around us, through which we see the world around us, a filter that colors the world from around us, something different from its pure and uncontaminated color. I myself may have recognized that I do have such a filter. My question is, do I need to trust that the person, spiritual teacher, who is telling me this, does not have a filter himself or herself at all? Do I have to, just repeating, do I need to trust that the person, spiritual teacher, who is telling me this does not have a filter at all? If so, how? Just accept their words, or do I need to see an action to support their words?
Yeah, that's phrased in a way that someone is kind of vaguely telling you the story of illusion. They call it a filter. Really, it's the false ego that covers the spirit soul. The spirit soul by nature is pure. But when we come into the material world, we become covered by a false ego. Ego is I, false ego is the false I. So we take on a new identity, a new false or fake identity. And so the true, pure identity is, I am spirit soul eternally, and there is a supreme soul from which we all come. I am a part and parcel of the supreme soul. I am always subordinate to the supreme soul, and my function is to have a loving relationship with the supreme soul and worship and serve the Lord out of that pure love. That's pure. That's no filters, no contamination, etc. So if in that consciousness I see the world as a temporary manifestation of material energy that is also an energy of the Supreme Lord, and all the forms of this world are temporary, that they may provide great pleasure for my body, my senses, my mind, which are also material, but they cannot award any happiness for me, the spirit soul. See? That's unfiltered. That's reality. See? There's going to be birth, there's going to be disease, there's going to be old age, there's going to be death. There's no real happiness from any of this material sensual stimulation for the soul, although it may, feel amazing for the body and the mind. And again, it's all temporary, etc., etc. This is pure vision. This is unfiltered as you described it. But with this false ego, I see not myself as the eternal spirit soul, part and parcel of the supreme soul, and etc., as I described. I see myself as the material body. I see myself as the enjoyer. I see this world as my object of enjoyment. All the sense objects become my objects of worship. And I try to find my happiness from this sensual pleasure of the material world. It cannot make me, the soul, happy because it is impossible. The soul finds no happiness in material pleasures. The body, yes. The mind, yes. The soul, no. The spiritual master, the spiritual teacher, he sees everything as I described in the beginning, pure, unadulterated. He sees me as a spirit soul. He doesn't see me as my body. He sees me as a person in this material world who, like all living entities, is trying to find happiness, but he understands there's no happiness for you in this world. So he's always trying to guide us to this knowledge, to awaken us, to enlighten us to all these truths which I've so briefly mentioned, you see. And his life is a reflection of that. He is not seeing through the false ego. He is seeing through pure spirit vision, pure spiritual identity. See? And so I can trust that person. He's saying the same thing that these eternal, pure Vedic scriptures are saying. He's living what he teaches. He's happy, although he's not always running around, laughing like a clown, but he's happy inside. His heart is happy. In one sense, he's very sad because he sees all of us suffering unnecessarily, due to our ignorance. He's trying to enlighten us. He doesn't like to see us suffer. So his whole life is focused on helping us get out of this illusion. Remove the filter, if you want to go back to your original example, and see with pure vision. And so his words are perfect. His life is perfect. But one who is imperfect in vision may not be able to see the perfection in his life. He may see imperfection because we don't see through the eyes of clear vision. We see distorted. We see through our own prejudice or our own, contamination and desires and whatever, you see. So his words are perfect. It's always in conjunction with the Vedic teaching, which is, all of this is eternal truth. And so we have to start where we start, see. So don't try to, with your eyes and the contaminated condition they're in, see the perfection of the perfect person, you see. But you can try to listen to the words. You can try to follow the instructions, and gradually you will become more perfect in your vision and understanding. Okay.
Okay. The next question is, there seems to be so much information available about spirituality. How can I travel the path of spiritual life safely without getting lost on the way?
Well, there's a lot of information out there about what they call spiritual truth and spiritual topics and so on. A lot of it's not really on the spiritual level, it's on the psychic level, the subtle levels of the material mind and so on. But it's seen as spiritual. It's labeled or presented as spiritual, see. So ultimately it comes down to we need a true spiritual guide. We need somebody who is, as I just mentioned, is not under illusion. He's not seeing, through the filter of false ego. He's seeing himself as the eternal servant of the Supreme Soul. And all of us as, children of the Supreme Soul. And he wants to help us. We need that guidance. So what we need to do is, follow the basic guidelines, of yoga, clean up our life, get away from all the, the bad habits, so to speak, the things that cover us more and more in this darkness, and, try to more and more live a life in the mode of goodness. That includes the food we eat, the people I associate with, the goals I have in life, what I'm doing with my body and my mind on an everyday basis, and so on. Mode of goodness life. I don't have time to go into all these details. And this will gradually bring me to higher and higher levels of consciousness. And I began to see more and more clearly where real happiness is. And it's not in the lower levels of enjoyment in the material world, which in the modes of ignorance and passion. See, I began to realize those things. It's not like somebody's, telling me and I don't believe them. But it's like I see it. I can understand it, And so gradually I'll develop more and more a desire to have a true spiritual teacher, to have a true guide, realizing that I can't cross this ocean of material suffering on my own. I can't navigate this course. See, I need a true guide, someone who has already traversed this course, who has many times carried other people across this ocean of ignorance. And the more I desire this in my life, the more it will be arranged for me to meet such a person. And if I'm very sincere, I'll have the vision to understand this is that person that I was looking for. I will be guided from within by the Supreme Lord, because He knows what I want. He knows my level of sincerity. He knows what I'm trying to achieve, etc., etc. And so He will reward me accordingly, And if I want some cheap imitation, that's what I'll get. See, if I want to see something because I want it to be like that, see, then that's the way I'll see it. So it ultimately always comes back to us. What do I want? What am I trying to achieve? And if I'm really serious about, a true spiritual journey, to perfection, then I'll be guided from within. I'll meet the true guide from without, and under that expert guidance, I can be very successful in my trip, in my journey.
People also ask us, and maybe you could expand on that, where is a spiritual teacher to be found?
There's not a lot. It's not like there's one on every corner. But, there are representatives of the Supreme Lord on the planet right now, you see. And a person may not be ready to have, the full guidance. So he may meet someone along the way that kind of moves him a little further. I mean, somebody that's preaching vegetarianism, for instance. He's not even presenting it from a spiritual angle. He's just saying, this is the diet that you should follow. And he gives all the reasons why, from the health angle and environmental angle and compassion angle, toward the animals, and et cetera, because that's what he knows, that's what he believes in, that's what he's convinced of. But somehow it touches me, and I follow him. That's going to take me forward, you see. And these kinds of things that, assist me along the way, will ultimately bring me to that point I was already referring to. So how do you find a true spiritual master? By desire. Do you want one? Then you can get one. See? And sometimes you don't even know you really want one, you see. But the Lord knows what you really want, more than you do. See? And He arranges it. And when you meet a true master, there's some guidelines. Number one, he must be in a disciplic line of pure teachers. This is known as a parampara, see, a disciplic succession. The parampara starts with the Supreme Lord and comes down through perfect representatives of the Supreme Lord, right to the present day. So a true spiritual master will be in such a lineage. So that's number one. Number two, he must be teaching what is in Scripture. And many people have no idea. Maybe they never even read Scripture. But if you meet a true spiritual master, he's going to tell you, read the Scripture. This is a bona fide Scripture. You read it, and you're going to see that everything that he told you is what it says in the Scripture. And you're going to find that, other great sages and saints of the past, etc., have all read the same Scripture. See, it's not some new age thing. It's not somebody just wrote, I just, had some invisible, handwriting going on. No, it's eternal truth that's contained in these scriptures. And so gradually you begin to realize the spiritual master, this person, he's actually, representing this teaching perfectly. And he's expanding on it. He's expounding on it and explaining it even more clearly so I can understand it more than if I just read what it says in Scripture, He's helping us understand. And you will also see he's living that teaching as well. And then finally the Lord in the heart, as I've already referred. So, if you really want a spiritual teacher, you will be guided to one. That will be arranged for you.
Balakhilya, I think maybe people may feel like they look up to someone like you, and one may feel like it's such a long journey to make and such an impossible. And I'm actually out of questions, so this would be the last. If you would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and your history and where you came from? Did you ever come from a situation where you were not a vegetarian, and etc.? And how did you meet your spiritual teacher?
You don't want to know where I came from. Yes, I definitely came from a non-vegetarian background. I was raised on a farm. We raised the animals. We killed the animals. I hunted my from 10 years old. I was out killing the animals, as a sport, and I ate what I killed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was definitely, living a very bad life, really, One thing I did have in my favor, I was born in a Christian family, and in general, Christians aren't vegetarians. That's not part of what they teach, although Jesus was a vegetarian, but that's another point. But I always knew there was a supreme person, always knew there was God. I always believed that Jesus was actually a real person and not just, 2,000 years ago, but now. I always had that. Just intuitively, I knew it. I was taught that, but nobody had to convince me. I already understood that was true. But I still went out and did all the things that many people do in their youth and teenage years and university years, and the parties and all the good times and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, And then, at some point I started surfing as a lifestyle completely. Moved to Hawaii and, was around a lot of people that were changing their lives. That was during the late 60s and early 70s when, there was a lot of changes going on in a lot of people's lives. And it was interesting to me. It was exciting. It was like a new frontier. And I realized, kind of along the way that meat eating is just, it's not the best thing for the journey I want to go on. It's in the way of what I'm trying to do. I started reading yoga books and doing hatha yoga to improve my surfing, but I also was hearing the teaching of, yoga diet, vegetarianism, and compassion, and being kind. And I learned about the law of karma, and, everything you do is going to come back on you. And, you start reflecting on what you're doing. And if that's coming back to me, that's not going to be a happy time. So I started what they call cleaning up my act, so to say. And, but it wasn't like somebody was making me do it. I just had understandings along the way. That's what I was saying. One thing led to another thing, led to another thing. I didn't just do everything at one time. It just was spread out over some quite long time, some few years. And, along the way, I felt better and better, not only physically, but inside, internally. And I was just given the message from within. This is good. This is the right thing. You're doing what you should be doing. And I wasn't questioning it. Well, maybe I should do this. No, I was like, yeah, I know this is the right thing to do. And eventually on and on it goes until, through many diet changes, not just vegetarian diet, but different, more strict diets in the vegetarian category, for personal, physical cleansing, and it, cleanses your mind, and you start, a lot of different things are connected, you see, until, I realized I need a spiritual master. I do, and through a lot of it, 6 years, I was in the military, in the reserves, but, I realized, okay, I need a spiritual master, and I can tell you, there weren't everybody in my unit in the military that was on my page, but that's all right, because I had another internal thing that was going on. And so after that realization that I need a spiritual master, it wasn't that long after that I met my spiritual master. And I'd been reading books, and I kind of had in my mind, I'm following this person, I was following his teachings and so on, through his books and whatever. But when I met, my spiritual master, Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, I just understood, this is the one. This is who I'm looking for. And I didn't go anywhere. I didn't have to go to India. I didn't have to go to an ashram in California. I had a lot of things I was probably going to do. I didn't have to go anywhere. I just was right there. And that's where it's been ever since. And of course, you don't stop there. That's the beginning. That's not the end. Things change all the time. This thing changed, another thing changed. You realize more. You have different understandings and desires. And it just goes on and on. It's definitely not over. It's just the beginning. So, yeah, and it's for everybody. You don't have to come from some special place. We all come from where we come from. But we're all spirit souls, and we all need the same truth. So, yeah. So that's kind of my whirlwind tour.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. So anyway, I think our time gives us enough time to do maybe a 10-minute meditation with mantras on Sankirtan.
Let's do it.
And the mantra, since you already know Gauranga, will be Gauranga and one more mantra, Hari Bol. Sankirtan is congregational chanting, usually with music. And it's called Shravanam Kirtanam. I chant and everyone listens and everyone responds and I listen. So it's a back and forth like this. And all you have to do is just relax, meditate on the sound. See, so when I'm chanting, you just listen. And when you're chanting, then I listen. That's all, So just relax again. Music is such a wonderful medium anyway. Everybody, is always listening to music. And so we're going to use that, built-in tendency, and we're going to add the mantras and make it a spiritual experience. Gauranga. Now everybody. Haribo, 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 Goranga. So that's Sankirtan. You can see it's very enjoyable. It's fun. You know, many ways to do it. Large groups of people chanting, dancing, you know, very lively or very soft and meditative in that way. So these mantras are magic. You know, the techniques are so easy and so enjoyable and so beneficial on every level. So, you know, that's, you know, the philosophy is the philosophy. Some people aren't that attracted to the philosophy, you know, but that doesn't mean you can't chant the mantras. You know, it doesn't come like, okay, you don't accept philosophy, then you can't chant. No, you chant the mantra. They have the purification. And, you know, later maybe, you know, that philosophy which you couldn't accept at all is something you embrace to your heart. So never think that somehow you're not qualified. That everybody has the same potential to become perfectly happy and perfectly satisfied. So, Ruben, that's all my time. I have another program coming up.
Yeah, thanks. That's always very nice to see you, Balakhilya. It's very nice to have you here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
nice to visit the cabin.
You're welcome back.
Yeah, so next week maybe, huh?
Yeah, next week is Yoga Sound Sunday.
Oh, Yoga Sound Sunday. Okay, so next week it'll be a whole evening of just chanting. You know, you can come and just relax by Ruben's fire and chant. You don't have a fireplace? That's all right. Ruben's got one for you, waiting. Okay, I do have to run. Slava's saying, come on, we got to change over to the next one. So thank you all very much for joining. Very nice questions. We appreciate those very much. Ruben, thank you again, and all your friends there in Tromsø that are working together to make this a reality. Namaste, Haribol.
Haribol, namaste. Thank you, Balakhilya.
Thank you.
See you next week.
All right. Or before.
Or before. Probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, leave the meeting.
Click. All right. So, what more to say? I guess I hope this answered a lot of your questions and doubts, and that you are inspired to continue the journey that you've started, maybe before or maybe today you started. So if you're in Tromsø, you're more than welcome to join. Trondheim as well, and we have UK, a lot of places. We have meditation schools there we're cooperating with, yogameditation.stream. It's in Canada as well. So tune in wherever you are. And Happy Man is the name for Balakhilya Das's own YouTube channel, where he has a lot of videos explaining more about this wisdom, some amazing footage from Norway as well. So feel free to check out that YouTube channel. And if you're wondering how to get there, Happy Man, so I could advise you to go to the website. This is yoga meditation stream. I'll just scroll down a little bit until it says follow Balakhilya, and then I'm clicking YouTube. Then you're going to come to his page. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe. And then you can see his channel. This amazing video here at the start, and a lot of videos about meditation for beginners, japa meditation that he mentioned, how to avoid depression in wintertime, etc., etc. So, yeah, do check that out. And I'll see you next Sunday on Yoga Sound Sunday. Namaste.